Hi everybody, this is Christy. I am the Intimate Warrior. I thank you so much for stopping by, and as always, I send you love. So it's about 11:37 a.m. of course here on the East Coast, and I've been up for several hours already, almost 6 hours, and of course I had the idea of making a video. And sometimes I mention, you guys know I go through periods or several days of, not posting a video. There has to be a sense of flow. I don't make a video just to hear myself talk, and I don't make a video to waste your time. Although in my videos I do add lots of discussion, especially my own experiences, I think. And for those who have, followed me here on YouTube, have appreciation for my stories. So here I am. I didn't think I was going to make this video today. I was actually going to just press pause for today and enjoy or allow myself to go through this. But since I've had an experience, it has brought me to making this video. We have those tiny things that take place within our lives. Little tiny experiences that, when allowed, can add up to terrible experiences. We all know those types of things. Little here, little there, little this and little that. Eventually, boom, an explosion. And of course, we can still see little tiny things in our life that adds up to great value. Great things. When people are kind to us, the smallest, a smile on the street from somebody, or someone allowing you to go ahead of them when you're driving in a lane or something, or even in a grocery line. Those little tiny things eventually can add up to great moments in your life. And then you share those great moments as well. But it's those little things in our lives that I'm talking about that seem to add up or can add up to create an explosion of a negative form. Because of where we are, this is going to be of great value too. But don't use because of where we are to not actually have this understanding from your past, of course, to your future. So, today I had an experience, and this is tiny again, and I go through these types of experiences all day long. Some days, without a thought, I am in action mode, always coming from love. But then there are those moments when I'm like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to let somebody else eventually learn that they have to do this because it's their life. They need to learn to pick up after themselves, take care of themselves, this, whatever the reason is that I am trying to blame for them not doing something. If you see it, it's yours. Bottom line. I don't care what it is. If someone leaves a dish on the table, dirty dishes on the table, or piles of trash on the table, or wherever it is, and you are the one that sees it, it's for you. And we have learned, in life that we are supposed to teach our children or our loved ones how to be clean, this, and this, and this. Well, we all learn everything in our own timing, even from the need to pick up after ourselves, to see something as trash. But, we have been taught that what we see is trash. One man's trash is another man's treasure, right? It's a lesson every single day. And this is how you can become your greatest self. Yet, in a human way, we have been taught that if we are always doing for other people, we are being walked on. That we are being the slave. We are this and that. You don't think, you don't respect me. You're not valuing me. You're not seeing this, how good I am to you. And that's the mumbo jumbo stuff that we have been fed. That is not love. We are at a higher aspect of purity here. But let's just keep it at, we are at an intense purification of the heart and the mind. Things are really, really ready to become. In order for the heart to truly be purified, the mind must see no fault. The mind must not see dirt, trash, wrongdoing, victimization, greed. The mind cannot observe from a negative aspect that has been implanted by a negative thought, by a negative experience. Plain and simple. So lately here, and I'm going to make other videos in relation to things that are taking place in my own reality that you're probably also witnessing or could be witnessing in your own. The other day, as we were preparing our garden, I love this time of season. Of course, it's lots of work for us doing the garden, ups and downs. I think I did about, I don't know how many squats and makeshift deadlifts, working in the garden the other day. I am still sore. I did it like 3 days ago. I am still sore in my walk, and sitting it's hilarious. Every time I take a step, I'm laughing internally. But it's so much work, but the end reward, it's so, we're so grateful for it, of course, for what we are reaping here, are going to be reaping. And this is exactly what life is about. Everything that we do in our life should be for a greater cause, a greater end cause. So I noticed that day that the clouds resembled ocean waves. Ocean waves. And the ocean, of course, consists of water. And so I became very grateful to even be able to witness the ocean waves within the sky. There's water. We live within water. The earth is made up of mostly water. The human body is made up of, about 67% of water, and the other remaining is of matter and blood, all that good stuff. Well, water is in the blood, so. And anyway, and so I began thinking more about that. And of course, I failed to mention this in yesterday's video, so here I am today. The high significance of water. What is that? It goes back to the 13th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. The 13th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Mem. Like memory, or membrane, or to remember. Oh, you get it? Okay, so water is the memory bank. It is what holds consciousness. Now, this is also what I mean, or what, what is said. And you can actually read the entire verse or chapter of John 4:10 through 14, but I am actually just going to read 14. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him, and a well of water springeth up into everlasting life. So, of course, I thought about that today as I'm talking about water. And since I have been also explaining, working through Taurus season, water and Taurus go together as well. Taurus works through the throat, but so does the 13th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Not just right here directly out of the throat, but it's in relationship to the sacred name of God of Yod. Hey, thou, hey. The first hey works in the throat and is water. It is that feminine aspect that works again within the throat. And why does it work through the throat anyway? This is the womb of creation. It is one of two areas of creation. But this is where the Word is made manifest. So this is the place of birth. And in order for something to be birthed out of it, it must birth through the water. Just like the mother carries the child within her womb for 9 months. In order for He and Mem to be active, there must be that Yod, that point through the crown, or Kether, through the tree of life, which is the father. The father must implant the seed in order for the mother to give birth through anything. So I wanted you to have that correlation with that. And as I have already said, going through Taurus season, and now we're going through this Scorpio eclipse, in order for the true Kundalini to even begin to rise, we have to have divine knowledge, which is activated within the throat, where the Word is made manifest. This is the flow of creation that begins the activation of the Kundalini energy. This is the Divine Mother that is ready to meet with the point of creation of Source. And before I continue on, I mentioned, I think I said 67% water, but I think it's 60%? I don't know. Anyway, there's more water to actual matter in the human form. Water always means that it is the feminine aspect. It is that womb. Again, this goes back to holding greater value to one substance over another. Or, what is it? It goes back to the first commandment, anyway, of not worshiping other gods before God himself or the Father. But keep in mind, God also says to honor your mother and your father. And also for men to also honor a good woman. So this works with you understanding that even though the water, this is just a symbolism here, there's a need for the feminine aspect, a need to connect back to the Father. Without the male seed, of course, a woman cannot give birth, period. When we use a value can even be used in a negative form when we hold greater value over something else. Valuing something in the sense that you have learned something from it is used in a positive way. But when you are holding value over being a vegetarian, over being a meat eater, that can have a sense of negativity. Now you are separating two forms. So when you hold greater value over the feminine aspect of being, then you are actually saying, Father, I don't honor you. I don't value you and your purpose. Both are valuable. Both are needed and necessary. So we have to be you have to understand what words you're using and what those words mean to you. So if I use the word value, I value the Holy Mother. I value the Divine Mother. I understand it because of what I have been going through myself. If you hear something, and you'll hear this or read about it in other people, and I say this a lot in some of my videos where they are talking about rise of the divine feminine, and it's like feminism. Okay, in today's reality, it can't be used very negatively. I am all for women having equal pay if they have proven themselves. I don't think just because you are a woman that you are owed anything, and just because you're a man you aren't owed anything greater either. So that's just something I wanted to add to this, I guess, which you have to really understand in your own mind what things mean and where you're coming from, and really dissect those thoughts and emotions and figure out why is something triggering you. So if I say I have value in both Father and Mother, and your mind is saying, no, it's the mom who does everything. No. And that's something that this reality teaches too. And it has gone on, and I have been that mother figure that it's my job to do this. It's my job. I love being a mom, and I love being a wife, and you really have to love it in order to do it right. You really do. And that's what this is about. It's being so loving that everything that you are doing, you're doing it with value, knowing that it is right. Hope that made sense. So the Divine Mother, or the feminine aspect of self, is kept hidden with all of creation. We know that the Holy Trinity is missing the Mother. Yet, by the you know that in order for a child to be born, there is the need for the woman to hold and carry that child within her womb. So what happened is that God sends his command. He divides himself into the mother, which is a portion of the throat here, part of the throat, and creation is made. And it talks about why is the mother hidden? Because she is wisdom. Wisdom comes from the throat at the secret doorway of Thoth within the tree of life. We have to walk that step, learn by our experiences in order to gain greater wisdom and understanding. It is not about what you read. How many times I know in my past I have read something because, it just either caught my eye or I did begin to think about it because Source was planting seeds. Perhaps I even heard a word through my inner hearing. And I did some research about it. Well, I read about that information and I was like, okay, this is very interesting. It's like the sacred secretion. When I first happened upon that in the beginning of my awakening process, it could have been 3 or 4 months into it, I was like, wow, this is in relationship to the Bible, and it's grasped me. There is something going on in my body. I find it very interesting. I have no clue what this means. I don't understand any of this yet. But I was brought here for a reason. I created this spark because now there's, wow, something going on, an interest. But I'm going to let this go because my brain doesn't comprehend it. I'm reading it, but the mind and the heart hasn't made a connection because I haven't had an experience. Throughout our ascension cycle, we are going to have experiences, internally and externally. Both are going to teach us something. When you make that connection, either by coming to my channel or somebody else's, and then you finally read about it, the spark. And that's why I also mentioned, if you are trying to research and read up, read all kinds of books, but you're not learning from your experiences, you're like that hamster on the wheel that's running for no purpose. Just let things kind of flow on their own. There's less resistance in flow. So when we're talking about MEM, because it also has, it works with the memory bank, to remember here. How do we remember anything? There's lots of people out there who do Akashic Records readings, right? And they tell you about your past. Well, you all have the power to tap into the Akash, and that is what water signifies. Not only are we able to tap into the Akash on our own, in our own readiness, but that Akash is already within us, and it is the water of consciousness. It is consciousness, water that moves with Source through Christ and the Holy Spirit, through love, receives a memory bank. I have, sometimes when and you're probably having this experience, through my visions, I can be concentrating sometimes or not even doing it on purpose, because now I can shut my eyes and begin the process of receiving. But of course, even in my waking moments, I'm always connected to Source and have messages. But when I am purposely trying to connect, there's sometimes that I'm just completely exhausted and I begin to doze off. And in those moments of dozing off between wake and rest, I'll receive a message. And I know it's so important, but because I'm becoming unconscious, I forget. And then I used to beat myself up. Oh my gosh, I knew it was important. I knew it was in relationship to what's going on. And I need to remember. I never did. Also, there were times that it was very hard for me to remember dreams. Dreams as well. This has a lot to do with MEM. Consciousness, the ability to remember. And I used to be very forgetful. I dealt with lots of brain fog, especially before my awakening process. But even after my awakening process, it was still difficult because it's part of forgetting only to remember what is true. We're going to eventually be wiped out. The old mind is going to be completely eliminated, hopefully, for us all, and then truth is going to be revealed. The exact opposite is going to take place. Yet, without its negative form, we could never go back to its positive form, right? Both are equal. A while back, and this has probably been a couple of months, I remember watching a science series or whatever it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what's going on within the human body. And I guess it was going on even before I started talking about the three wise men, whenever those videos were, and following the star. Dark matter and dark energy, and I hope I have this all correct, because by the time I was done watching it, I was getting ready to make a video, I forgot everything. So the ability to remember has nothing to do with really us getting sick. Yet, depending on our form, we take it in as, becoming sick. Oh my gosh, now my mind is going. I can't remember anything. And any portion of when we believe in that, we have the ability of also believing or creating more issues. So if you can't remember, eventually the hearing's going to go, or eventually the sight's going to go, or the smell's going to go, and taste. Everything is linked to one another. So within this movie or series, they're talking about dark energy and dark matter, and that star formations are formed within these webbings. But you can't see these webbings. They're invisible until stars are formed within this webbing. And I was like, those look a whole lot like veins. And within our, it's like when we're going through our process here of clearing and then becoming, the crystals begin to form. Crystals or stars begin to form within us by the force of dark energy and dark matter. Dark energy and dark matter, let me see, which one is... So I think, if I'm correct, dark energy takes up about 68%, and then the other amount takes up which is dark matter. So that is also like the same amount of water to matter ratio within our body. And if you're thinking about this, it's spirit and matter. So I thought it was really interesting about the star formation, of course, how the universe was created and all kinds of stuff, and that things stick only to certain areas, and the stars only can form when the conditions are right. Conditions have to be just right for star formation. And there's like this tug and pull between dark energy and dark matter. And that's just my simple way of describing it. So, if we go back to memory now, in order to recall, we have to first become purified. The waters that will never dry out. Where is my verse? And let me repeat it. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up unto everlasting. And there's a passage in Revelations 16:12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Dried up in the form of evaporation. Now, the mother energy rises from the base of the spine and has to rise to the crown. When fire meets water, steam is created. This also goes back to clouds. How clouds, are formed. Clouds consist of a water particle or water evaporation. If you remember in school, they try to teach us about that, and I can't think of it right now to talk about it. But this is all linking up to things in my current experience, and of course, it teaches us to go back into our childhood through what was created. There's greater meaning to every single thing, and truth is hidden within information. And we have to be the ones who are actually understanding it. It is all being revealed. So the cleansing and the evaporation of the spinal canal where the Kundalini rises, this allows the CSF to ISF exchange. And it carries away the waste, things that are no longer necessary and needed to help purify the self and to recall what is true. And so every time that we actually have an experience, it affects our memory. It affects our senses. Our senses expand continuously. We hear things. Sometimes we're hearing things. Remember, we're seeing things that may not be here. We're smelling things. We're tasting things. Everything can be off. So I have actually been able, and I mentioned this in I think one of my other videos, to smell alcohol. Instantly as I spoke alcohol, or my sensitivity to other people, alcohol, another name for alcohol is spirit. So my nose can pick up on the intense alcohol that is within substances. It doesn't matter if it is, an alcoholic drink or anything that contains alcohol. I can smell it, but it's very sweet. It's a sweetness that I'm smelling, but it's in all forms of alcohol. I know that it means that it's a spirit. I'm picking up more on spirit. But if you find it annoying, and I have, from time, found it very annoying, I know that it's being purified. There's something internally that I'm finding a little off. I don't like. It's also, it's like our understanding of what spirit is, or what God is, has been off. I know mine has been. My teachings have been very negative because it has been used to harm me throughout my entire life. A way of controlling me. Man is using religion, Christianity, Christ, God, as a form of controlling the masses. And so I know that my sensitivity of, I'm going to throw it, whatever it is being purified. So keep that in mind when you are actually smelling things. And I know my mom has been going through a huge senses clearing. She can't be around certain foods just because the smell puts her off and makes her really sick. But of course, it comes visually first. For her, she's seeing something and she's already, whether it's she's getting sick or whatever. Our senses are always linked. Our eyes pick up something, but it's our brain that has to translate it, and therefore comes back out into an experience or an understanding. So I don't know if I have spoken about everything that I wanted to speak about. Okay, so in the sacred name of God of Yod, He, Vau, He, there are those two He's, the throat and then the sexual region. Both are in relationship to the Divine Mother and of creation. Why are there two? Because this is part of the Ein Sof, which is the knowable and the unknowable. And so the Divine Mother, through the seed of God, or the Divine Father, must manifest the Word at He, which is also heaven, and also just going to manifest the word in the final Hey, which is going to be earth. As above and so below. So keep in mind that the point or the yod, which also is the Father, can manifest itself as the top of the crown, but also in its descent is going to act as the earth. And also this happens in reverse. So the crown could be 1 and the crown could be 10. The earth can be 1 and the earth can be 10, or they are both simultaneously, depending on where you finally are or where you are in your journey. There's a descent and an ascent, a descent, and then ascent. And that's not the final, that's not the way that it goes. I know from my cycle I have done it with this object within my eye has formed this creation. So what the orb or this object in my eye is actually done, I mentioned in a video that there ended up appearing 3 objects or 3 lights in my left eye, right eye, in the top of my crown, indicating the crown is being constructed, but it's also the top of the tree of life of Kether, Cookman, and Bana. These 3 must come back together because we are going in its reversed fashion, and then we're making our way back towards creation is what I'm trying to say, to that point of origin. So these 3 have to unite as one, enter back into the doorway of the throat. The word, all 3 aspects of self must be entered into, and from there we continue on our journey. And just to give you information about it, this is since we are now working with or attempting to work with the Divine Mother rising within the spinal canal, this is also in relationship to the Ma Ray, of course, or the Mother of Jesus, whose name also means bitter, beloved, or drop of the sea. Sea, of course, is water, right, with salt added. So I just wanted to add that. So keep in mind that creation cannot take place without Mem, or the Mother. And that's why it means to keep the Sabbath day holy, or Zion, which works through the 7th letter of the Hebrew alphabet and the mother energy that rises in the base of the spine. And keep in mind that holy doesn't mean that it is greater than the Father. It means to purify oneself. One who is holy has been purified. This is Christy. Much love, health, and healing your way. I am bringing purpose to life. Take care.